Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Wandering Scotsman. So good to see you, to have you here with me. Thank you for tuning in to watch this wee special episode of what's really going on here? Huh? Alright, let's look at some of today's headlines. Come along with me. Let's start asking some questions. I'm proud to be an American.
If tomorrow all things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take
that away.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. But I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Proud to be an American.
To the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say,
It's time to stand and say, be an American, but at least I know I'm free. I'm free. You're free too. America stands for freedom and democracy, but not just for America, but for the world. People may ask, Brian, why are you so bold? Why are you bold as a lion? Why did you stand up for truth and freedom? Why didn't you just go bury your head in the sand? You and your conspiracy theories and your disinformation. Just shut up, Brian. Shut up. And just believe whatever you're spoon-fed by the mainstream media. Believe the lies. Believe the corruption. Believe big tech. Believe whatever those with power and money tell you to believe. Just believe them. Don't believe things that you believe to be truth and self-evident. Time to open their eyes, folks. And equally important, it's time for truth in media, honest reporting. And that's what we're seeing now. We're starting to see all the years of lies and disinformation being exposed for what it truly is. We that speak for truth get accused of being the ones spreading disinformation. We're accused of being the ones that are lying. And it doesn't matter how much evidence is presented, people still say, oh no, but that didn't really happen. No, they didn't really say that. Yeah, they did. Yeah, that is really what's happening. And you know what? Thankfully for the day and age that we live in, all that media is recorded. We're going to start seeing arrests. Yeah, they're saying in the news going to be full investigation. Yes, there will be. They're going to investigate everything. And, you know, the Democrats saying, leave no stone unturned. They're going to come after your bank accounts, going to come after everything. And it doesn't matter who you are, no one's above the law. Exactly. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. They're saying, oh yeah, we're going to do this and this and that. Yeah, okay. Let's take these same rules that you want to apply to others and apply them to yourselves. Let's see Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Let's see everyone that spewed hatred, fomented violence, that have supported actual insurrection, that have used false media, that have colluded with big tech and big pharma, that have colluded with the mainstream media to spin a false narrative over the years to try to convince people to believe lies and say it's true, and then convince people that what is truth is actually a lie. That's what you call disinformation. Let's see the truth come out. I'm not scared. I'm not in fear. People expect us just to go, oh, how do we in fear? They're going to come after you. Come knock on my door. Yeah, if the police want to come after me and investigate me for speaking truth. That's what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of speaking truth. I'm guilty in believing for honor and integrity. That's what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of loving people. I'm guilty of refusing to discriminate against others based on anything at all. Everyone is welcome to their opinion. Everyone is welcome to their own religion. Everyone is welcome to their own political opinion. Everyone is welcome to do all these things as long as they don't cause harm and danger to others. But we have to maintain the right of free speech, the freedom of religion. We have choices that we make for ourselves. No one has the right to dictate to others and say, this is what you must believe because I say it so. I'm in power, I'm in authority, therefore you must believe this. You must change your mind. Or to say, oh, unless you do this, this, and this, I'm not going to allow you to do that and that. Unless you take this vaccine for this fake virus, then we won't allow you to have a business. We won't allow you to fly in a plane. We will not allow you to attend a church or a mosque or a synagogue. We will not allow you to pray to Buddha. We will not allow you to have an education. Unless you fall into line and do what we dictate to you, we will not allow you to return to any sense of normalcy in life. Isn't that what you call tyranny? That doesn't sound like freedom. That just certainly does not sound like democratic beliefs. In fact, it doesn't even sound anything constitutional at all about that, is it? That's not constitutional. In all of our countries, we're seeing our law has been changed. The pandemic has been used to put our bills of rights, our constitutions, our freedoms on hold. 2 weeks to slow the spread, they said. 2 weeks. The computer models say this, the computer models say that. Didn't happen. Also, we just keep extending it. People start to question the official narrative. Okay, we'll give you a wee bit of freedom, but then we'll rein you back in again. Let's spin a new narrative. Let's say, okay, there's a new variant of the COVID. Get people back in fear. Fear is a powerful motivator. So why do you think they want us to live in fear? Because when we live in fear, we are so desperate for freedom that we'll say, okay, please just, I want my life back. I want my life back. I want to be able to go shop. I want to be able to go to wherever I want to go. I want my small business. I want to be able to go to school and see my friends and my family. I miss these family gatherings at Christmas. So I'll do whatever you say. Please, I'll be good. I'll be a slave. I'll be a servant. No. We had these things before all this. So why would we just give them up? Why would we just say, okay, take it all? No. Why should the powerful, elite, rich, multi-billionaires get away with these lies? Why should they continue to get richer and richer and richer? We all see it. The truth is there. The evidence is there. They're getting richer and richer and richer. Well, we're all getting led into salvation. Poverty has just exponentially increased over the last year. Whole economy is getting wiped out. Children not getting their education. People losing their businesses and their jobs. Why? So the powerful elite could have the great reset that they have been planning for years and years and years. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not just a coincidence. Too many things to just be coincidences, isn't it? So let's start looking at the news. Let's start seeing, open our eyes. I encourage you. Please, I am not demanding anything. I am encouraging you to consider the evidence. Consider the facts. Let's start connecting all the dots. It's like a pyramid, if you think of like a pyramid like that. Those in the power and control at the top, and they spread it on down to control and manipulate all of us at the bottom. But let's start connecting all the dots. Let's see what's really happening here. What is really going on in the world? Is the virus connected to, and the vaccine connected to the lockdowns, the shutdown? Yeah. Are they connected to the election? Yeah. Is the media involved? Yeah. Big tech involved? Yeah. All the censorship all involved? Yeah. It's all connected, folks. It's all connected, folks. Let's start looking at the evidence. Yeah, question and wonder why when they say, oh, where's your evidence? No evidence, and then they present them. Oh, that's fake information. Our fact checker said that's false, so we're not going to allow you to do a proper investigation. If someone's telling the truth, they wouldn't try to stop you from looking at the evidence, would they? They wouldn't try to silence you. See, people that lie and manipulate, they're the ones that want to bury the truth. But someone that's telling the truth said, okay, go for it. Here's all the, look at it. Here's the evidence. Do you wonder why that they didn't want to look at the evidence of the fraud involved in the election? Because they wanted to hide something. They want to hide it. No more hiding. Let's look at it. It's time to start looking at all the evidence.
And now UPI is reporting that 2 Capitol police officers have been suspended and more than 10 more.
So let me ask you, see the smoke there from the stun gun, smoke, whatever you want to call it, tear gas, gun fired. Do you see a violent protest there? Do you see any reason why they should have fired that gun from a hidden area inside the building? Do you see these people all pushing in there? Do you see them throwing objects? For what reason would you fire that tear gas than other than to create an image for the photographers and the video cameras outside at a distance, to create that look, that appearance, post-argument, the appearance of the violence? That's what you call staging and incitement to violence. Do these people look like they're just standing there, happy? Or do they look like they're trying to storm the Capitol? Ask yourself that question. What are they doing? See this here? They say this is Nancy Pelosi's office. Do you remember the gentleman that was photographed with his feet up on the table? And they said, oh, he desecrated her office and blah, blah, blah. Well, her own daughter tweeted that that's not my mother's office. You went to the wrong room. Oopsie daisy. They got a photograph of the innocent Trump supporter with his feet up on the desk. But he was in the wrong room. Oh dear. It wasn't Nancy Pelosi's office. Because this is a staged event. That's been prepped for the media. So there's a video of Trump supporters going in there and creating this mess. There's none. Video clip. Remember the news media reporter that said that there were just thousands of people in there that were coming in from all directions, that was just chaos? But this is what we really saw. This is what we really saw.
Investigation is underway to see if there was any coordination.
Wow. Since when do rioters calmly walk in there and even stay within the ropes? Oopsie daisy. Someone needs to give a lesson to Trump supporters on how to conduct a successful riot, because obviously they're not very good at it, are they? Claimed that the police were overwhelmed just because there's violent insurrectionists. Okay, there's your police being overwhelmed by the violent insurrectionists.
Last week following Wednesday's events. And
someone said to me, the videos don't lie, videos don't lie. Okay, there's a video. Is it lying? No, it's showing the truth. There's the truth. Not the pre-staged events. This is footage that was taken live. Did you know that the armed insurrection, a lot of the reports that were coming out, what happened before Trump had even started his speech? Trump actually started speaking late. So they had this all planned to go to cast the blame on Trump, but he hadn't even done his speech yet. They tried to say he incited this riot. Well, guess what? He hadn't even spoken yet. Time to look at the timeline, folks. Go look at the timeline. See when this all happened. Did you wonder why big tech is censoring everything?
about Amazon Web Services' decision to no longer host his site beginning this past Sunday night at midnight. Other big tech companies like Google and Apple also took aim at Parler. Take a listen.
What's really interesting is that they all did it on the same day, those three, without any prior warning. We woke up on Friday thinking business, well, never business as usual at Parler, but at least as close to usual as possible. We were number one on the App Store. We had 7 million, almost 7 million unique day.
Why did that happen? Why was free speech now being cancelled? You know, the whole cancel culture they've been talking about for the last year. Now they're cancelling free speech. Basically, they're cancelling your freedoms. Let's look at the news headlines.
President Trump is projecting defiance as he faces his greatest political peril yet, an unprecedented second impeachment. He denied any responsibility today for the riot that engulfed the halls of Congress last week.
So, if you weren't guilty of something, would you accept blame and responsibility for something you're not guilty of? I wouldn't. Why should he? Guilty of what? A riot that engulfed the Capitol? Did you see a riot that engulfed the Capitol? Or did you see the appearance, the make-believe, that false flag event to try and make it look like there was one? Time to start looking at the evidence and see what really happened that day.
White House correspondent Yamisha Alcindor reports.
The nation still reeling, and President Trump with no regrets. The president emerged in public for the first time since extremist supporters stormed.
So his extremist supporters stormed the Capitol. Who are President Trump's extremist supporters? Mums and dads, grandmas, grandpas, children, families, conservatives, Republicans, Christians. Actually, people of all walks and backgrounds in life. LGBTQ, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, all nationalities, different countries they've come from all over the world. People like myself that came over from the UK, became naturalized Americans. So you got people from European countries, got people from African countries, Eastern European countries, South American countries, people from all over the world become an American. Because they believe in freedom and democracy, free speech. Does that make them extremists? Because they believe in God? Does that make them extremists? Or because they're white? Does that make them extremists?
From the Capitol. He rejected all talk of involuntary removal or a second impeachment.
It's really a continuation of the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
He is right. It is ridiculous, and it is the greatest witch hunt in American history. 4 years now they've been trying to get something to stick on. 4 years now they've been accusing him of everything under the sun. The only thing that they've accused him of that might be true is he has a bad haircut. That bad hairdo and the bad tan. Maybe he might be guilty of that, but all the other sins, like him supposedly being a white extremist or a Nazi and all that, not true. Not true. Him inciting violence and telling his followers, the Christians and all that, to go and storm the Capitol and burn it down, not true.
For Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to continue on this path, I think it's causing tremendous danger to our country, and it's causing tremendous anger. I want no violence.
Do you hear that? I want no violence. So let's look at where is the violence being promoted. All summer we saw violent protests on the streets, but it wasn't by Trump supporters. It was by other movements, Antifa and Black Lives Matter. We saw cities burning to the ground. They weren't getting stopped. They were funded and supported by who? Ask the question, who was funding and supporting? Who was posting their bails so they could get out and reorganize? Follow the breadcrumbs, follow the trail. Ask yourself that question. Who, when you think about it, has been inciting violence? Who has been telling people to hate others and to turn against them? Who's doing it right now? Is it President Donald Trump? Oh, I've got a couple of names come to my mind. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Seen a lot of vile and hate just spewing from their mouths lately, haven't they? Have you? I see it.
At his rally last Wednesday, President Trump urged the crowd to march to the Capitol. He's since been denounced for inciting the mob.
Yeah, he did tell them to march to the Capitol. Exercise the freedom of assembly. Nothing wrong with that.
But today, he insisted his words had been, quote, totally appropriate. That brought new...
Yep, they were totally appropriate. I didn't see anything that incited violence.
Condemnation from the Senate's top Democrat, incoming Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
What?
You ready to see some extreme hypocrisy? This is hilarious. So if you know what a narcissist is, a narcissist accuses others of what they're guilty of. Let's watch this narcissistic behavior here. You watch what he has to say, and you tell me this is not narcissistic behavior.
Trump did today, blaming others for what he caused.
Does that sound familiar? Does that ring a bell? This guy here, I know he doesn't live with Trump, but he's blaming others and accusing others for the violence that he's caused.
Is a pathological technique used by the worst of dictators.
That's right, you're right, it is. It is a pathological technique used by the worst of dictators. He's got that right, that's right.
Trump causes the anger. He causes...
Trump causes the... Are you sure about that? Maybe you need to look in the mirror, buddy. I think your mirror's broken.
the divisiveness. He foments the violence and blames...
Trump foments the violence? Are you sure about that, lad? Deary me, deary me.
others for it. That is despicable.
Yes, it is despicable. You are very, very despicable, young lad.
Donald Trump should not hold office 1 day longer.
That's right, Chuck Schumer. You and Nancy Pelosi should not hold office for 1 day longer. If the shoe fits, you better wear it, buddy.
House Democrats agree. Tonight they will vote on a resolution calling for Vice President Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove the president from office. The resolution states, quote, these insurrectionary protests were widely advertised and broadly encouraged by President Trump. Today, the House Rules Committee debated the measure on full display, deep partisanship.
This guy
Maryland
here
Congressman Jamie Raskin and Democrats
really
demanded
exposes
action.
himself.
It's up to the
Full of
vice
violent
president,
hatred.
and we're not trying to usurp his authority in any way. We're trying to tell him that the time of 25th Amendment emergency has arrived. It has come to our doorstep. It has invaded our chamber. They can help to lead us out of the nightmare that we've been plunged into by this sequence of events.
But Republicans, including Ohio
He's
Congressman
great.
Jim
He's
Jordan,
great. I
echoed
love
the
Jim
president's
Jordan.
claim of a witch hunt.
Let's be clear. Democrats have been wanting to remove President Trump from office since he won the election in 2016. They failed with the Russia investigation, they failed with the Mueller investigation, and they failed with their first impeachment investigation.
One thing after another.
So here we are again.
Jordan
That's
also
why we're all
refused to
tired.
say whether President-elect Biden won the election fairly.
He
For his
did.
part, Vice President
He
Pence
did.
has signaled he is not open to using the 25th Amendment. Instead, last night,
Good,
he and
Mike
the
Pence.
president
Good
met
job, buddy.
After days of
We
not
knew you
speaking.
were loyal
They
and faithful.
reportedly
I
agreed to
never
work
doubted
together
it.
for
Never
the
doubted
remainder
it.
of their term.
You're awesome.
Today, President Trump said, quote, the 25th Amendment is no risk to me. But if that's the case, House Democrats say tomorrow
See that? The 25th Amendment is no risk to President Donald Trump. Why? Because truth is on his side. Truth always comes out eventually. Let's see who's spewing lies.
they will vote on impeachment. At the same time, more details emerge about President Trump's real-time response to the assault on the Capitol. The Washington Post reported that the president ignored
See
pleas
that
for help
stage
from
event there?
Instead,
See
he
all
chose
that,
to
that wee
watch the
fake part
violence
there?
unfold on TV.
See the actors?
In a report by Axios that he blamed anti-fascists or Antifa for the violence, there is no evidence to back up that claim. But defenders of President Trump
Wow. See how easy? It's almost like the police are trying to pull the fence to themselves there. Did you notice that? See how the police pick up the fence and they're like, okay, hey guys, we've got to stage an event here. We're getting paid big bucks. Let's make it look like there's a riot. So let's take this easy to remove fence out of the way. Just get out of the way so we can get some of these supporters in there, where we've got the news camera people ready waiting for them. We've got some bad actors ready waiting for them. We've got some Antifa and Black Lives Matter organisers, people there, volunteers or being paid, whatever, ready there to stage an event. But we do need some legitimate Trump supporters to fall into this trap and to go in there so we can catch them in the act. Yes, yes. Because guess what? We're behind schedule. We've got an agenda. We've got a schedule to keep. You know, we can't keep the people in the basement forever. We need to make it look like there's a riot. There's a reason we don't have all the police here that we should have. There's a reason we don't have the National Guard yet. It's quick. There's only so long we can fake this.
Keep repeating it. The hunt for those who assaulted the Capitol is also in full swing.
I want to stress that the FBI has a long memory and a broad reach. So even if you've left D.C.,
this gets brilliant. I love this. He is telling the truth here. This is fantastic. They have a broad reach. And do you notice it's not the head of the FBI making this statement? It's people under him. I wonder what happened to the heads of them. Let's find out. Maybe they're under arrest. So here they're going to announce what they're doing. They're going to be doing a full investigation. And no one is above the law. Yeah, no one's above the law. That includes Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. For collusion.
Local field officers will be knocking on your door if we find out that you are part of the criminal activity at the Capitol.
Yes, they will be knocking on your door, Nancy Pelosi, to see what kind of flavor of ice cream you have in your freezer.
Acting U.S. Attorney for D.C., Michael Sherwin, also said they are forming a task force to build charges tied to sedition and conspiracy.
That's right. There's a task force that's been tasked to investigate ties to sedition and conspiracy. Let's find out which politicians have conspired with big tech, big pharma, global powerful elite, people like George Soros, Bill Gates, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, Charles Schwab. Let's see who's all in this conspiracy together to conspire against the United States of America. Arrests will be made, charges will be laid, and imprisonments will follow.
Meanwhile, state capitals are bracing for new violence. The FBI indicated in the coming days there could be nationwide protests by armed groups. In Michigan, Attorney General Dana Nessel
notice how the media loves to show the pictures of patriotic Americans with guns, but that amendment might. But we didn't see that at the rally, did we? They show you old footage of earlier, other days.
Capitol is still not safe.
Of course, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that these guys with the guns weren't there at that rally. They want to give that appearance that they were, but they weren't. That was footage from way back in other places during the summer.
Comes despite a new rule banning the open carry of firearms. Today, the FBI also met with other federal agencies and Pentagon leadership on inauguration security, and senators received a briefing from the Secret Service.
So the National Guard has been mobilized, as you know, in all 50 states. Why is that? Because there's going to be arrests made. They're going to catch all the perpetrators of all this, which includes everybody that was in collusion together. Big tech, big pharma, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization officials, UNICEF, United Nations officials, even leaders in organizations throughout the world. And of course, all the dirty, corrupt politicians, not just the Democrat Party. This is not just about one party. There are corrupt politicians on both sides of the aisle. They will be held accountable. For a long time, they've been collecting the evidence, and the evidence is out there for us all to see. And it's going to be getting presented soon. We will see these arrests made. And as you know, because of the way the election played out, and all the challenges that went through court, and they just kept on getting dismissed. We didn't have any proper court hearings to address the allegations of election fraud. They were just all swept under the rug. Why is that? Because of corrupt judges and corrupt politicians. Therefore, it takes the United States military to hold what you call military tribunals. They would do this calmly, quietly, and efficiently, and peacefully. We just have to stay calm, stay relaxed, and trust in democracy. Trust in democracy. There is no need for panic. There is no need for any violence whatsoever. Let's trust our police and our military to do the right thing. It will be aired. Very similar to what the Nuremberg trial was. Remember, after the end of the Second World War, they had the Nuremberg trials, and they went after everybody that was guilty. And people said, they asked them, why did you do this? Why would you do these despicable things? And said, I'm just following orders. And you know what they were told? That's not good enough. You did these things, you can't just say, I'm just following orders. So those people that have conspired together and colluded with others to enslave us all, to take away our democratic freedoms and rights, to place us under house arrest in our homes. Think of all the lawsuits. You know, many of us, at the end of all this, will be able to sue these rich tech oligarchs. These are those persons and companies that are profiteered off of us, that are profited while we've lost our small businesses, lost our homes, lost our paychecks, lost our friends, lost our family, through lies and deceit, media manipulation, coercion, that have suffered violence, verbal threats, emotional threats, even physical threats. Yeah. Those that have colluded together will be held responsible by law. By law. Not through bias, but through law. That's why we have the law.
Service and the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security. Back at the U.S. Capitol, yet more fallout. That
brings me back to something else. You remember how in the last year, President Trump has been bringing all the troops home, because guess what? He ended all these needless, senseless wars. So now it's time to bring the troops home to the families. The Democrats kept on trying to stop that. They didn't want the troops coming home. Why did they not want the troops coming home? First of all, they want them out there and doing the fake wars because it generates billions of trillions of dollars of revenue. But also because, guess what? They don't want the US military to be able to defend America on their home soil against their conspiracy, their sedition, because they had their plans. But no, the US military are back on American soil to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Freedom.
3 lawmakers have now tested positive for the coronavirus. They were part.
Wow, isn't that interesting how quickly the media spins it and said, guess what? 3 lawmakers that were there have contracted the virus. What do you think they're going to spin next? And say they're going to say this is Trump's fault too. He exposed them because of his rhetoric and all this. Then these 3 people got COVID and they could potentially die of COVID. This fake virus. I bet they're going to accuse the Republicans and those that support the president of endangering them because they didn't wear masks.
Part of a group hunkering down during the Capitol siege with Republicans who were not wearing masks. The video shows some even refusing masks handed out during the lockdown.
Did you know that Nancy Pelosi just passed a resolution? Basically, it was yesterday that they will fine any members of Congress who do not wear a mask. Wow, it's not illegal even for politicians in Congress to not wear a mask. Why have they got all these unconstitutional mask mandates in our countries? It's unconstitutional. They want to silence us, they want to muzzle us, keep us in fear. Do you know how difficult it's been for me as a deaf person, hard of hearing, to read lips through a mask? It's almost impossible. It's been so stressful. You know, at the end of all this, if I want, legally I have the right to sue. I have the right to sue because you infringed with your fake, false mask mandates upon my constitutional rights, my rights as a disabled person, to be able to communicate freely, to be able to understand when people are talking to me, to not get threatened and harassed whenever I ask someone to take the mask down so I can hear them, to not get yelled at Tim Hortons because I didn't realise that my coffee stand there and the person refused to take the mask down to explain to me and talk to me, whatever. I'm standing there waiting for my coffee, and then someone behind me had to say, tap on my shoulder and listen, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying, and eventually they showed me, oh, my coffee was over here. I have actually several times similar instances of that. You know, people got really, really nasty towards me. Yeah, I've worn a mask, and I do wear a mask to go in. I just follow the rules like everybody else. But when I need to communicate, I'm sorry, but I'm hard of hearing, and I put my mask down, and I asked them, please, can you put your mask down? I stand my distance. I said, I need to communicate. I've been using my sign language, and a lot of people, most people have been great. Unfortunately, some people, not quite that way, but that's life.
The president also faces fallout of a different kind from big business. Today, Deutsche Bank, the biggest lender to his companies, says it will have no more dealings with him.
Isn't that collusion? When you are withholding the access to your job and your finances and to travel. These are all rights that we all have. When you say, oh, you no longer have these rights. That sounds wrong to me. What do you think?
And Yamis joins me now for more, along with our congressional correspondent, Lisa Desjardins. Hello to both of you. So much happening today. Lisa, I'm going to start with you. New developments now as the House moves closer to that second impeachment process. Tell us what you're learning.
Some extraordinary developments in just the past hour, Judy. The number 3 Republican in the House, Liz Cheney, has announced she will vote for impeachment. Reading from her statement.
So we obviously can tell that Liz Cheney here is also part of the collusion. Remember the whole Russia hoax that kept on saying that Trump colluded with the Russians? Well, actually what we're seeing is we're seeing politicians from both sides of the aisle colluding with big tech, with big media, with big pharma, with the global elite at the Davos group, the World Economic Group, the World Health Organization group, the United Nations, all in collusion together. Who are these guys? Who is it that's caused all this, behind all this, guilty of all this? You got it. The New World Government, the New World Order. They've been trying to come to power for years. They're basically a socialist ideology-minded collective of elite. They're like the 1% of the 1%, the richest of the richest, the powerful of the most powerful. Over the last number of years, we've seen it all being exposed. Jeffrey Epstein come ring a bell? His wee fantasy island all start to come together. You know how they've been saying, oh, Brian, you're a conspiracy theorist. You know, anybody believes in Q and all that, being military, American military and counterintelligence. You're just a conspiracy theorist. Or you believe that there really is child pedophilia going on, especially amongst the rich and the powerful, like Prince Andrews and that. Oh, that's conspiracy theories. So if it's just conspiracy theorists, then how come we're seeing these people being arrested? We're seeing them going to jail. Oh, it's just a theory, then how come there's proof and there's evidence? Just because these so-called fact checkers say, this has been flagged as false information, false, it's fake news, doesn't make it fake. Fact is fact.
She wrote, the President of the United States summoned this mob, assembled this mob, could have...
Assembled this mob. So you get a nice peaceful rally, peaceful protest, and they're called a mob.
Intervene, but did not. Also, another House Republican, John Katko of New York, is also voting for impeachment. He wrote, it cannot be ignored that President Trump encouraged this insurrection. At the same time, the new...
Insurrection? Oh, they love the fancy words, don't they? They love the words. It's a setup, folks. They had all this plan ready to go. They were trying to set a trap for President Donald Trump because they were stealing the election.
New York Times is reporting another powerful Republican, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader, is on board the idea of impeachment and does not want to...
Of course he is, because Mitch McConnell is also one of the elite, the rich and the powerful, these politicians that have been in power for way too long. They're part of what Donald Trump had called the swamp. Do you remember when Donald Trump first ran for election? He was running on joining the swamp. What do you think is happening? That's right, it's the grand finale. He is joining the swamp. He's allowing them all to sink themselves. It's all coming out now. It's all out in the open now. New World Order, the Davos, the Great Reset, the Green New Deal, the collusion between them all. It's all out in the open now. So much indictable evidence over the last few days.
To President Trump anymore. That is major news, and I can tell you,
it is major news.
Around him are some of the most disciplined people in Washington. For that news to leak out is significant. Finally, I
Very
have to say the mood
significant.
at the Capitol, as you saw in Yamish's piece, is very tense. Those supporting the president are ramping up their arguments, as you heard, but it does seem this crack in the Republican Party is opening up into a chasm over this issue, and some of the president's allies, including Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, are now giving permission to members to vote their conscience on this issue. That's a very big deal.
That's right.
One more thing, Judy.
They've got permission to vote on conscience. So those of us that believe in freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of democracy, we should have the right to voice our opinion. We should have right to that free speech, shouldn't we? Peaceful assembly. We should have the right to vote and have our voices heard, make a vote count. Yeah, they shouldn't be silenced and threatened to be silent. Why should we be threatened to shut up and sit down and just let the powerful elite continue on with the power grab? We don't have to. We don't have to.
This vote could move along quickly. I'm told that House Republicans do not have any plans to throw procedural hurdles in the way tomorrow on the road to impeachment.
These are gigantic political developments. Lisa.
You got it. These are gigantic political developments. Stay tuned for more. Love this bit. This is a great bombshell. You ready? Watch, watch, watch.
I hear live, and you'll be at the Capitol for us. So separately to you, Yamish, the FBI did hold that briefing today. Tell us more about what they're saying about what happened last week.
This is good. So the FBI had a briefing, and this is what they're saying about what really happened. See that the wee hint there? They want to know what really happened. Not the false flag event, not the fake stage part, but what really happened and who is really responsible. Yahoo!
Well, today the FBI and federal authorities made it very clear that they're planning to track down and charge anyone connected to the...
Track down and charge anyone. That means everyone. Anyone connected to that siege on the Capitol.
Siege on the Capitol. They say that they're treating this like an international counterterrorism effort. That's pretty...
Exactly. It is an international counterterrorism organization. Why? Why are they making that clear on there? Because that's exactly what it is. International bad actors, foreign governments, foreign business leaders, powerful, rich corporations, all connected in collusion together. It's all coming out.
Remarkable, considering, of course, these are Americans on domestic soil, but they say that they're looking at so many different people. They say that...
Exactly. Looking at so many different people, including the politicians, including the CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, all these guys, Jeff Bezos, yep, of course Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy Pelosi, come on, Biden, Nancy Pelosi, all of them.
They're expecting that this is going to be hundreds of cases. Right now they have about 100.
Just hundreds? I'd probably say more like 127,000.
170 cases open. They've charged about 70 people so far. They say that the charges range from felony murder all the way up to simple, or all the way down to simple.
Yes, there is felony murder. See, in order to keep their lies secret, those powerful people have been murdering people. And it's all going to come out. Yeah, over the last year, we've been seeing people getting bumped off. So-called fake apparent suicides. They weren't suicides. They were silenced. Hey, maybe we'll finally find out the truth and why and how Princess Diana died. Ah, that's right, Brian, you're a conspiracy theorist. Maybe we'll finally find out the truth of how they had a controlled demolition of the World Trade Centers, but blamed it on Afghanistan and blamed it on Iraq somehow, when it was actually a bunch of actors from Saudi Arabia. Somehow they managed to get in and attack America.
Trespassing. They also say they're looking at theft of national security. They're looking at theft of mail. They say that...
Yeah. Who cares about Nancy Pelosi's mail? But yeah, seriously, We do need to know what was on Hunter Biden's laptop. We do need to know what was on Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Guess what? The FBI now have that. They have all the evidence.
This could go from city to city. They don't say that they've already been in Dallas, in Jacksonville, in Cleveland, rounding people up for this. They made it very clear.
That's right. They've been rounding people up, but they actually did a raid in Ukraine at Biden's compound there. And they're collecting information, evidence. They've been doing counterintelligence operations in Pakistan. So why do you think Pakistan got its big blackout? Over in Italy, why do you think they had their blackout? Spain and Germany, remember the Dominion servers getting raided? Yeah, they're collecting their evidence,
That if people were involved in this, that you could and will be charged.
That's right. For all those involved in this, you could and will be charged. They're not going after the guy that carries the lecterns like, hey. Or the guys that, hey, but the news media, can you guys please just pause there? We really like your helmet and your furry coat, and we like your flags. Just stand there, but a social distance, and make sure you don't have your mask, but still stand some people. Right, there you go, smile for the camera, say cheese. The guy puts his feet up on the desk. The room's practically empty, just him there, and a photographer. Convenient, the photographer was already in the room waiting for him. Say, all right, oh hey, go ahead, stick your feet on the desk. We want you to endanger everybody with your stinky feet, and we'll make you believe this is Nancy Pelosi's office. And here, we got a wee note ready written for you. Can you just leave that on her laptop, please? Yeah, that'd be nice. Just leave that on the laptop so that she feels that her life was endangered.
To note, though, that even though it's been about almost a week since this siege on the Capitol,
Siege. They keep loving these big buzzwords. Siege. I didn't see no siege. Since when did you see a siege that was non-violent and come to an end within a couple of hours? Place wasn't destroyed. They were able to get back in there, finish the business within hours. Yeah. Fake.
Briefing today, they weren't the FBI director or the head of Homeland Security. So there's really a big question still of whether or not the top federal officials, whether they're at some point going to come before the public to speak out.
Why do you think the top officials were not the ones there doing the speeches? Is it because they've been placed under arrest for their part in the collusion? Maybe.
Fascinating, all of it. And
yes, it is. You're right. It is fascinating. All of it is fascinating. I'm fascinated by it. I'm loving it. Why do you think they got us in lockdown? Because guess we're all at home able to watch this. We've got all this time in the world to sit there and believe all the fake media. Just soaking it in, being brainwashed. But guess what? It's time to actually wash our brains from all the lies, the disinformation, the garbage, the doubt and unbelief that has been spewed at us for months and months on end. Time to see the truth, folks. Time to see the truth. And time to wake up. Ow! This was brilliant. Despite a bipartisan push not to impeach President Trump, he's saying, again, no. Why are they saying it's bipartisan? Because they want to make it look like, guess what? If other people believe it, then it must be true.
Impeach President Trump. He's saying he has no regrets.
Yep. You shouldn't have any regrets.
Disinformation and still saying things that are simply false.
Okay, so President Trump, whatever he says is simply false. Why? Because your paid fact checker says so. Your AP router says so. Because there's fact checkers by Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook fact checker because they say so. Therefore, only they know the truth. They are the only purveyors and transmitters of truth. Everyone else is wrong. So just because Trump anything comes out, Trump could say this hamburger tastes great, and they'll say, "Oh, false information. That's fake. It's fake." No. Yeah, they would. Anything he says, they would claim is fake. So he's also spreading disinformation. Actually, I'm starting to see that you guys, the media, the mainstream media, which is President Trump's been saying all along, that mainstream media are fake news. He's right. It is fake news, propaganda. It's simply a propaganda machine meant to spread disinformation. And it's all been revealed. So, yeah, they're the ones simply saying things that are simply false.
Public and in private. The president today said that he believes that everything that he said on Wednesday before these people came and attacked our U.S. Capitol was totally appropriate.
It was. Have you actually watched and listened to his speech? Go ahead, watch his whole speech, listen to the whole thing in its full, in entirety, and ask yourself, did that sound like he was inciting violence and insurrection? Sedition? No. Was that appropriate? Yeah. Was anything said fake news? Based on your own thinking? Don't go by what Mark Zuckerberg says you have to think, but think on yourself and say, does that sound like fake news? No.
Let's remind people that he said the word fight or fighting in that speech more than 20 times, and he told people to march up.
Yeah, guess what? We will fight peacefully for our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech, our freedom of right to assembly. Because these are constitutional rights of people in America, but also basic human rights all around the world. We have the rights and freedom to run small businesses, to feed our families, to put roofs over our heads, to give our children an education, the rights to be healthy, and to know what's good for our own bodies, not to be forced to take something that's bad for our bodies out of fear and intimidation.
On the Capitol, and then went back to the security of the White House and watched all the violence play out on TV. He's also spreading the disinformation.
Why do you think instead of going there, he kept himself separate and went back, watched it all on TV? Because he knew that they were trying to set a trap for him. He thought, I'm not going to get caught up in that. I'm not. Did you see President Trump in there? Charge! Let's go take him down. Let's burn this place down. No. You seen the Antifa guys, the actors go, yeah, do this shit, do that, yeah. How come the Trump supporters aren't jumping in? We were told that if we started it, they would all jump in. But if you just light a spark, there'll be a forest fire and President Trump will go down. And it didn't work, it didn't happen. Like that's President Trump saying, okay, go for it. Do your worst. It's okay, I'm recording all this. And when the time is right, when you do your fake impeachment, I'm going to lay out all the evidence. See, this is what you call the court of public opinion. President Trump had mentioned that before. You know, that he knew that he would never get a fair shake in the Supreme Court, a fair shake in the courts throughout America. So this is the court of public opinion. And the only way you win the court of public opinion is to present all the evidence. They didn't want to allow him to present the evidence. So guess what? Now, he's presenting the evidence. The truth is coming out. People like you and I, who with open eyes and open ears and open minds can say, okay, let's hear both sides of the story. Let's see both sides of the coin. Let's weigh the evidence. Let's see if what President Trump has been saying all these years is actually true. Remember all the times that he would say, okay, what's this? Watch them. They won't turn the cameras on. Show the size of the crowd. Show the size of the crowd. See? They wouldn't turn the... Why did they not want to turn the cameras on? Because they want to make it look like Trump had no support. But it was the opposite. It was true. They wanted to spin the narrative. They didn't want the truth getting out. They didn't want you seeing that he had supporters for people from all walks of life, all different skin colors and nationalities. They didn't want the truth to get out. They want to bury the truth. So what did they do? They use fear and intimidation and say, our fact checkers have said this. Our fact checkers have flagged this as disinformation. Our fact checkers have deemed this to be offensive and inappropriate. So therefore, we're taking this post down.
That this was really not his supporters, but that it was Antifa, anti-fascist, a group that he's called out.
Yeah, that's right, because that's true. It was. I showed you. There's lots of evidence that Antifa was there and Black Lives Matter, and also stage actors. So much proof, so much evidence. It's all there. All the evidence is there. All we have to do is watch it, see it for ourselves.
And really made all sorts of information up about, and the FBI is saying there's no evidence of that this was not Antifa. In fact, this was Trump. This was the...
That sound familiar? The FBI, the guy that's now been arrested. That's why he's not in camera. The FBI is saying that there was no evidence that Antifa BLM. So even though we can see the evidence, we see them there. We saw them getting called out by the Trump supporters. But yet they say, oh, there was no evidence. Yeah, there is. What we see with our eyes happened. Just because you say it didn't, doesn't make it so. We saw the same thing in the summer. Remember during the summer when they had the Black Lives Matter protesters? They were burning the streets down, and they had Chaz, whatever it was called, it was in Portland and all that. All these things that were happening. And guess what? So, oh no, this didn't happen. What you see, this is peaceful protest, it's peaceful. No, it wasn't. Who was funding that? Who was funding all these things? So you get one guy is killed in suspicious circumstances, and then you get the media spinning, trying to incite race riots. That's what they're trying to do. They were trying to incite race riots, trying to engulf America in chaos and confusion, to try and smear the President of the United States of America. And many of the world fell for it. Many people fell for it. And that's a shame. But you know what? That's okay. Again, why is it okay? Because we're all entitled to our own opinion. We're all entitled to see all the evidence, and all the facts, and form our own opinion on it. No one has the right to tell us that you're not allowed to look at evidence. You're not allowed to look at the facts and weigh the facts. Isn't that what they call a jury? Isn't that what juries do? To listen to both sides there. Justice is supposed to be blind. You should not be found guilty just because you're male. Let's say you're a single dad, and let's say your wife, your ex-wife, has said, "Oh, I want a divorce. I'm going to have an affair, and I'm going to make some false accusations and take all the money. And because he's male, then I automatically win. I'm automatically right." No, that should never be the case. Or the opposite either. Just be based on your skin color or based on religion. No, justice is supposed to be truly blind. Justice means looking at all of the evidence, both sides of the argument, hear both sides, measure the facts, weigh it, and then make that determination. Okay, where's the truth? Is it here? Is it here? Or is it somewhere in the middle? A lot of time, the truth is somewhere in the middle, isn't it? Yeah, let's carry on.
Trump supporters who were at the Capitol, they were wearing his name, they were wearing his logos. So what you see here is...
Okay, so if you wore a MAGA hat, and a hat that says Trump, or a t-shirt that says Trump, then that means you're guilty by association. Does that make you a white extremist just because you wore an American flag? Since when do Americans have to be ashamed of flying an American flag? They shouldn't have to be. Since when should an American be ashamed or lose a job just because they support President Trump? They support democracy. They support freedom. They support the Constitution of the United States of America. Should they be ashamed of that? No.
President Trump trying to deflect and deny the fact that he has any connection to this. Another thing to note is that the president today...
Yeah, because guess what? If you don't have connection to that, you should deny it. You should deny. Why would you take responsibility for something that you're not guilty of, despite all the pressure, all the intimidation, all the bullying to try to force him to concede the election? He still said, "I ain't conceding." No, you will not force me to be silent. You cannot force me to admit guilt to something I'm not guilty of.
It was on the southern border, and he said the 25th Amendment, he doesn't have any risk of being hurt by that. Or so.
Do you wonder what the significance is of President Trump doing a speech at Alamo, Texas yesterday? Think about it. What's Alamo, Texas for? Was it something to do with, let me see, the last stand, Custer's last stand? That's very significant to Americans. This was the last stand for democracy against being replaced by a new one world order system of government based on technocracy and socialism. America does not want to be a socialist country. President Trump has said that he stood up against the New World Order. Remember last year at the Geneva, I think it was Geneva, Switzerland. What was it? Some big event that they came out of, and he said, America will never be a socialist country. And he was right, and he's standing to everything President Trump said he would do, he's done. He said he'd build that wall, he built that wall. He said he'd bring American troops home, he brought the American troops home. He said he would rebuild the economy, he rebuilt the economy, the greatest economy that America has seen in its modern history. Who destroyed that economy? Who decided to try and destroy that and blame it on President Trump? Ask yourself that question. Why did the American economy start to falter? What happened last year What happened last year that brought that American economy down? But what happened when Trump said, nope, we're going to reopen, we're going to build back up again? They brought it back down again. What are they promising to do? Bring it down even further. But what else are they promising to do with the Great Reset? They're going to redistribute your wealth all around the world. They're going to take money away from you, hard-working people, and give it to other people. Is that right? Should we lose our access to our bank accounts? You know, they want to do away with fiat currency, make everything more digital, and then they want to control it and say, okay, we've decided that because you're conservative or you're a Christian or any of these things, we're going to take your bank account. We're going to take away your job. We're going to take away your education or your children's education. We're going to take away your children. Because we are, after all, a socialist state. Have you ever seen this happen in any other country? It doesn't happen in America until now, but already starting to see it. Do we want to become a socialist state? Why do you think during this lockdown over the last year, we are seeing the rollout of 5G everywhere? Yeah, it's connected too. Why are we seeing security cameras going up at most of our main intersections? They say, oh, it's for your safety. Just like they're saying, well, the vaccine's for your safety. No, it's not. It's control. It's to give them power and control. It's all connected, guys, folks. It's all connected. They got all the surveillance. You know what manipulation, brainwashing is? When you repeat a lie enough times, people start to believe it. Why do you think we hear 24/7 constantly on the news, through our phones and TVs, the radio, billboard signs, traffic signs, alerts, COVID, mask, social distancing? Every time you go to the store, it's drummed into you constantly, to eventually a lot of people start to believe it. They start to believe the lies. That's called brainwashing. It's called manipulation. It's called disinformation. They've been very, very effective at it. Very successful. But you know what? No longer. See, this is good news. What's happening in America right now is actually good news. So the last couple of days it gives us all hope. It gives us hope no matter where you live in the world. It gives us hope that there can be freedom and democracy for all of us. This is not just about America, folks. This is also for us here in Canada, or for my friends and family back in the UK, or people in Australia and New Zealand. Every country in the world has been affected by this global conspiracy, by the New World Order, to bring about the conditions for them to justify the Great Reset. It's affected all of us. And sadly, there have been countless lives lost, not through COVID, but through suicide and other ailments. People that should have had the cancer treatments or other surgeries that were cancelled have died as a result of that. That's my indignation, my pain. Why did they not have the right to live? Why is it that Planned Parenthood continued to get their funding for abortions while people lost their jobs? Why that Bill Gates' agenda for depopulation gets all the support? Why are these ultra-rich spending the billions to give this fake image that, oh, they're actually good people? I'm sorry. I used to support Bill Gates. No longer. I think he's a technocrat. And it's pretty despicable, the lies that he has said. I believe he will be arrested as well. Yep.
So he feels as though the only way that he's going to be at least punished by this is through impeachment, not through Vice President Pence taking any sort of action against him.
All right, so much to follow on this Tuesday.
That's right. So much to follow. That was actually yesterday's news report, so I apologise for that. Unintentional. I'm just watching it today, so I wanted to make my thoughts clear on that. For some more mainstream media disinformation, here you go. QAnon-related accounts posted nearly 1,500 tweets calling for violence in the 5 days leading up to the riot at the Capitol. Can anybody say with me? Fake news. Fake news.